We are here. Winnie is here. In case you were wondering, this is Winnie. This is Winnie. And she will never get as much attention as she deserves. No matter how much attention I give you, it's never enough. If only you could hold this for me for the duration. We're here because we're going to make this short and sweet. It's the end of the year. We made it. Confetti. We did it, Winnie. We survived. We were not thriving. We were surviving. But we made it. And you made it too because you're watching this. So I'm proud of you for making it here. And we're here to do a super short little video where we just do a quick little wrap up of my reading stats for the year. I'm planning on doing a whole video where I do a different kind of wrap up of some of the books I've read, going into a little more detail, but we're just going to do like a quick little highlight reel. You ready? Let's talk about my reading year in 2024. I read 115 books and I averaged out to 35,091 pages. Not too shabby. I did okay. Can I help you? Would you just, there you go. Do a sit down for me. The shortest book I read this year was What the Dead Know by Nghi. This was one of the books included in Amazon's short stories. I believe this was when they got a collection of fantasy authors together to do some quick little Amazon exclusive ones. This was not my favorite of the ones I read from this series, but it's not a bad book. This is the story of a young woman who traveling with her business partner, and I believe, were they romantically involved? Doesn't matter. But her and her partner are traveling to this remote, fancy manor / estate to do a seance for a bunch of fancy rich people. They are not really magically inclined. This is a hustle they've been running that's been making them money. They show up at this place, at this party, or they're going to do this seance. Things happen. It is very short and to the point, and I feel like this is the kind of story that actually would have benefited from being longer so that we could get more atmosphere, because it's basically show up at place, find out about mystery, solve mystery, story is over. It was 31 pages. It was incredibly short, but it wasn't bad. And I'm definitely inclined to pick up more things from this author in the future. The longest book I read this year, It by Stephen King. This chunk of a book is 1,153 pages. And although I highly, highly enjoyed the first, I'm going to say a little bit more than half of this book, by the end of it, I wasn't really having that much fun anymore. I did a whole vlog reading this book. It is quite the process. There's quite a lot of things happening. If you don't know anything about It by Stephen King, I'm honestly kind of proud of you. That's really impressive that you have no knowledge of this. That's like saying like you don't know who Batman is. Do you not know who Batman is? This is the story of a group of friends who, as children living in a small town in Maine, Derry, Maine is what it's called, encounter It, which is a supernatural, scary, scary thing that terrorizes this town, terrorizes these children. You are also simultaneously traveling with these children who are now adults in a later timeline as they have to make the trek back to Derry because it's gone sideways again and they all have to show up and save the day. This is a big book. It is a Stephen King classic, and I feel accomplished that I finished it, even if I didn't really love it that much. The average book that I read this year was about 305 pages, so I was averaging about a middle-sized book. The book I read that is on the most shelves on Goodreads was Twilight. Also read that in a vlog. Hated it. Didn't even finish it. But if that's like nostalgia, your teenage years, I get that. I get that like when you were in that very specific age and that very specific point in time in the pop culture and Twilight and Team Edward, Team Jacob, whatever. I'm happy for you. Trying to read it as an adult that is so far removed from the nostalgia, no, did not like it. The book I read that's on the least amount of shelves is Slaying the Holidays, and this is by Beatrix Hollow. I picked this up because this is a holiday spicy time, and it was short. It averaged about 2 to 3 hours for a reader to finish it, and it said it was for fans of the Ruinous Love trilogy, of which there are 2 books out, Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lark. Loved these. These are serial killer adjacent romances. I keep calling this like medium roast romance. This is dark romance that's not really that dark. It is a silly rom-com that just happens to be dark. And also was on a list for if you like Lights Out, which is a book that I recently finished and read in a vlog. This is a TikTok sensation. This is similar. This is a medium roast, dark/light romance. This is kind of stalker adjacent. This is the story of a nurse who is obsessed with these thirst trap guys on the internet. They post on social media short form content of them wearing masks and being super hot about it. And she actually has met one in real life. When he finds out she's into this, he makes it a mission to make him hers. This is a your crazy matches my crazy kind of romance, and there's a lot of consent in this romance as well. I had a great time with all of these books, and so I was looking for something that would give me something similar. So I picked up Slaying the Holidays, and this was not fun. I gave this 2 stars and I feel like that was being nice. This is the story of a therapist who has a brand new client. He comes in, he's super hot and blonde. She's immediately attracted to him, and she tells him that he needs to get a new hobby to deal with the depression that he's currently feeling. The hobby he takes up is serial killing, and she gets pulled into the mix. Okay. This person was trying to give us like Harley Quinn and the Joker without the like superhero over the topness of it. It was not funny. It didn't really make sense. I didn't have a good time. I've read from this author before and similarly did not have a good time, but I thought I would give this a try. I thought maybe it was just because that was a why choose romance, and those just usually aren't my favorite. I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, and so I thought I would give this a try, and I didn't end up liking it. It was not good. I did not have fun. I did not have a good time. My average rating this year was a 3.6 star, which isn't great, but isn't terrible. It's kind of like just past in the middle. And I'll take it. It was an average reading year. The book that has the highest rating on Goodreads that I read is also the first book that I read in the year 2024, and that is Two Twisted Crowns. And this is the sequel to One Dark Window. I picked up One Dark Window and had a decently good time. I went in with 0 expectations, and I enjoyed the magic system. The romance in this is just fine. Again, the world, the magic system, just the atmosphere in general. I was definitely compelled to continue on with the series. This is the story of Elsbeth, and she is a young woman living in this fantasy world that is surrounded by a woods that's full of mist. It feels very like dark and gothic. Everything is misty and mysterious. In the land that she lives, there is an illness that if you contract this illness, you either 1, die, or 2, if you survive, you end up developing a kind of magic. But the kind of magic you can develop, which is different for every person, is illegal. So if you are found to be sick, you are executed. Elsbeth got sick, survived, and has no outwardly signs of magic, so her family kept it a secret. She is also keeping a secret. She has magic. There is also a magic system in this world revolving around tarot cards that imbue the owner of these cards with magic. There's old magic lore. There's old gods in the woods. There's royals. There's treachery. There's highwaymen. The world itself was really, really interesting, even if Elsbeth and her love interest weren't the most interesting characters in it. I had a really good time with this. So the first book of 2024 that I picked up was the conclusion to the duology, and this is Two Twisted Crowns. In this book, we are continuing on with the story because the end of the first book ends with this huge event. And so now you are picking up right where you left off. But although we still have our 2 main characters that we were following and as they fell in love in the first book, we are now focused on 2 other characters that were side characters in the first book, Aeon and Elm. And I will say, as their romance unfolds, as they are trying to help our main characters, help other people, continue on with our plans, try and stop this horrible mist that surrounds the town that gets people ill, this book was so fun. The romance I enjoyed much, much better. I loved our 2 new main characters in this book. I had a great time with this. So I understand why this is the highest rated one that I read this year, because it was a really good time. I think if you enjoyed the first book, you'll really love the second book. If your biggest complaint with the first book was the romance, you should definitely pick this one up, because the new romance that we're following is just better. It's just better. But I hit my 2024 Goodreads reading goal. I did really, really well this year as far as book reading went, even if my rating was a little bit average. And I feel like of late, I've been reading kind of average to below average books with a few good ones in there. But, you know, there's still hope. I've got some reading plans coming up for next year, and I'm excited. I'm excited for all of the new releases. I'm excited to pick up some books that I just haven't gotten to yet. I'm just excited to be reading. But if you had fun hanging out with me and the dogs in this super short little video, please subscribe. I hope you're reading good books out there wherever you are, and I hope you hit all of your 2024 reading goals. And if you didn't, that's okay. As long as you read a book, I think you're doing great. And I'll see you next time.